Hi there, this is Heather with Rangers of Wrestling, bringing you the Wrestling Time Post Show. And for tonight, I will be reviewing Against All Odds. Alright, so before we kick into the main card, we had the pre-show, which started off with the Laredo Kid versus Black Taurus. This was an incredible display of Lucha Libre. Both Black Taurus and Laredo Kid are very, very talented. I think my favorite spot in this match was when Black Taurus caught Laredo Kid and he turned it into a crucifix bomb. Another spot that I like was when Black Taurus hit Laredo Kid with his horns, which is pretty cool. That moonsault from the top rope that Laredo Kid to Black Taurus was also fantastic too. But in the end, Black Taurus ended up being victorious. And so for the second match on the pre-show, we had the dot combat match for the Digital Media Championship. It was Brian Myers versus Rich Swann, Rich Swann being champion. So this was actually a really fun match. If you guys have never seen this match, what it is pretty much, I don't want to say like a street fight, but you use like computer weapons. So you can use a computer, a mobile screen, cell phones, mouse, keyboard, tripod, cameras, selfie lights. And it's actually a really little fun match. Matt Cardona and Jordyn Grace actually had one, and my favorite spot was when they pull out a big bag, and you think it's thumbtacks, but it's actually cell phones. So that was a really fun spot from the first one. But from this one, it wasn't as fun as a Matt Cardona Jordyn Grace one, but it was still a really good one. My favorite spot was probably when Rich Swann started stacking like keyboards, the light stand, the screen, and he did the Death Valley driver to Brian Myers on all those things, but Brian Myers ended up kicking out. And then Rich Swann set up the monitor on the ropes, but Brian Myers ended up sending him crashing into that. And so now, because of that, we have a new digital media champion in the form of Brian Myers. Then the main show kicked off with Ace Austin and Chris Bay versus the Motor City Machine Guns. This is the first time Ace Austin and Chris Bay are teaming up as members of the Bullet Club. And wow, I was blown away by this. Obviously, the Motor City Machine Guns have good chemistry. Chris Bay and Ace Austin are a really good tag team together. However, they still have some things they need to work on. There was two situations where they had a miscommunication, which worked against their favor. So, of course, obviously, Motor City Machine Guns in this match double teamed against Ace Austin. And at one point, Alex Shelley dropped Ace from the ring apron, and he held him down while Chris Sabin hit the cradle shock to Chris Bay. But Ace Austin broke that up. And ultimately, in the end, the Motor City Machine Guns were victorious with Chris Bay taking the pin. I didn't like that. I feel like every time there's Bullet Club involved and Chris Bay's in the match, I feel like sometimes he takes the pin a lot. But I mean, they couldn't allow Ace Austin to take the pin because he's actually really hot right now. So it makes sense. Then we had Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green versus Mia Yim and Mickie James. I have to say, I really like the mashup of their themes, which I thought was pretty cool. Especially the Mia Yim, Mickie James one. I thought that was really, really cool. And of course, Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green immediately go after Mickie James and Mia Yim. Mickie James and Mia Yim do the baseball slide to Green and Purrazzo. Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green really work well together. I know they've obviously teamed up in the past, but this is the first time they team up in Impact. And yeah, they work really well together. They did a double team to Mickie James at the end after Deonna shoved Mia Yim from the top turnbuckle, which allowed them to be victorious. And of course, Deonna afterwards doing the title gesture, meaning that she probably wants the Knockouts tag titles. Then we get a quick Honor No More segment, basically saying that they can trust each other. So Eddie Edwards had this stick type of thing where like everybody put their hands in. PCO tried to put his hand in, but Eddie Edwards stopped him, saying he couldn't trust him. And Vincent vouched for PCO, saying that PCO could be trusted. Eddie Edwards switched Vincent with PCO. Then we had the X Division Championship match. It's Speedball Mike Bailey versus Trey Miguel. Wow, this was my favorite match of the night. Like, they faced each other before, and the last time they faced each other, Trey Miguel actually handed Speedball Mike Bailey his first official loss. And I like this match a lot better than I did their first match. So, like, Speedball tries to extend his hand to Trey Miguel as a sign of respect. But, Trey and Miguel just is ready to go. So, like, the thing that I like about this was that both men were targeting each other's left legs. Like, Bailey targeted Trey Miguel's left leg. Trey Miguel targeted Speedball Mike Bailey's left leg. Speedball Mike Bailey doing the dragon screw in this match. One spot that I really liked was when Speedball did his knees and Trey Miguel blocked it using his knees. So both of their knees got hurt in that. And then there's this other spot where like Trey Miguel was like on the floor and he saw what Speedball was gonna do, and Speedball anticipated Trey Miguel lifting his knees, so he kind of switched positions and then he still hit him with the knees, which I thought was a pretty cool spot if you ask me. And I really like when Trey Miguel did the Hurricanrana to Speedball Mike Bailey on the floor from the ring apron. Oh, but like Trey Miguel missing the Meteora. Bailey, he kicked Trey Miguel's knees and then ultimately hit him with the Flamingo Driver, which allowed Speedball Mike Bailey to retain as me match of the night, my favorite match. All right, then we get the Knockouts Tag Title match. It's Giselle Shaw and Tenille Dashwood versus Team Bracknagog, Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie. So this isn't a bad match. The thing with this one is like Giselle Shaw was taking the place of Madison Rayne, who had her nose broken in their last match. So, like I said this last time, Giselle Shaw really fits in the influence perfectly because of her gimmick as a quintessential diva. So I feel like that fits perfectly for the influence. But this match kind of showed that Giselle Shaw and Tenille Dashwood really don't know each other as well as Madison Rayne and Tenille Dashwood. Of course, with some more tag teaming, you'll probably get there. Towards the end, Tenille Dashwood was getting ready to put Rosemary in the finisher, and she was yelling at Giselle Shaw to hook the other side, but Giselle Shaw kind of like didn't know what was going on, and couldn't anticipate that Tenille Dashwood was going to do. So that allowed Team Bracknagog to take advantage and retain their tag titles. And of course, there's a post-match assault on Rosemary and Taya. And as the influence alongside Giselle Shaw is leaving, Masha Slamovich come out. She hands Tenille Dashwood an envelope with her picture on it and an X. She did the same thing to Alicia Edwards, meaning that she's going to go after Tenille Dashwood next. So very intrigued to see what happens with that. All right, then we get a Speedball Mike Bailey segment where he basically is talking about how, like, Trey, when he came to Impact, Trey Miguel was X Division champion, and he handed him his first loss. And so he doesn't want to be a champion waiting around for a challenge. He's going to fight anybody who wants to fight him starting on Thursday. Then we had Honor No More versus the Good Brothers versus America's Most Wanted and Heath. This was the first time in 16 years that America's Most Wanted was teaming up together. So one thing I noticed about this was that Honor No More, especially Eddie Edwards, kept like not allowing PCO to be in this. Like whenever PCO got tagged in, he would do a couple things and then get tagged back out. Like I remember there was this one instance where he wanted to do a dive, but Eddie Edwards tagged himself in before he could complete the dive. And then, even though at one point he was cleaning house by taking out Chris Harris, Carl Anderson, Heath, and Doc Gallows, Eddie Edwards tagged himself in again. And PCO was mad, and Vincent was like on the side trying to calm him down. And another instance was when Kenny King got tagged in, he was yelling at PCO to do the PCO salt, but instead, like he did the PCO salt on the outside to everybody. And that did not sit well with Honor No More. You could tell they were kind of shocked and upset that he did that, because this allowed America's Most Wanted to hit the death sentence on Kenny King and costing them the match. So I'm very curious to see where this storyline is headed with PCO and Honor No More. But going back to the match, Wildcat Chris Harris could still go. He started off a little slow, but he slowly picked up, and yeah, he could still go. And I'm really glad they saved the death sentence for last, because I'm pretty sure they wanted to get that spot in, but they didn't want to do it like in the middle of the match, and they saved it for last. As they say, save the best for last, right? So yeah, good. We get a really quick Rich Swann segment, and he's basically talking about how like he understands that like you need to be a digital media champion, you need to be involved in social media. He says he was going to start his MySpace again. Probably relaunch his Facebook until he's confronted by Raj Singh and Shira. Shira gets in his face. Then we get Raven's Clockward Orange House of Fun match. Moose versus Sami Callihan. Okay, so like this match had like weapons dangling all around and like just weapons everywhere. I mean, like it was like literally like you could like pull things down. So of course Raven is on commentary for this, and before the match even starts, Moose spears Sami Callihan and then hits him with the steel chair. I have to say my one favorite part in this match was when when Moose got a box, thinking it was like a box. I don't know what he thought was in that box, but he got a box, and it was filled with Legos. But to be fair, Legos still hurt. Have you ever stepped on a Lego? That hurts. And apparently some former members of the Atlanta Falcons who were Moose's teammates were there watching him compete in this match. Oh, Sami Callihan biting Moose's forehead. Moose, like there was this one spot where Sami was putting him on a trash can, and like he just grabbed like a bottle that was in there, smashed it on Sami's face. Okay. So like it seemed like oh my god, there was this one part that needs to be said. Sami Callihan grabbed the staple gun and he stapled it on Moose's, well, on that area. And like, oh, that looked like it hurt so much. So much. Sami threw Legos in Moose's eyes, which I thought was pretty hilarious. And out of nowhere, like a cameraman comes in and he low blows Sami Callihan. And it turned out that cameraman was none other than Steve Macklin, who he took a barbed wire bat to Sami's face and allowing Moose to spear him, which allowed Moose to be victorious. All right. So that was actually my first time ever seeing that match. I thought it was a unique, interesting match. I don't know. I think I honestly like this match a lot more than I did their Monsters Ball match, but now they're 1-1. Sami Callihan won the Monsters Ball match, Moose won here. So what's let's see if there's another match between them and let's see who wins that one. But very good match overall, if you ask me. And then we get a quick Heath segment, basically saying he's going to go after Honor No More one by one. He says that they're done for. And who knows, it might be after the way they're treating PCO, they might just be done for. Then we get Tasha. Then we get the Knockout World Title match: Tasha Steelz versus Jordyn Grace. Very good match. I think we were all expecting Jordyn Grace to retain in this, and yeah, she did. She did. She's like a really big fan of Samoa Joe, isn't she? Because she did the Coquina clutch at one point to Tasha Steelz. So, and then she did the Muscle Buster too, but which, by the way, like Jordyn Grace ended up winning this, in case you're wondering. And then in the main event, it was Impact World Title match, Josh Alexander versus Joe Doering. This match was going to be intense. I knew it was. This was Josh's biggest battle since Tomohiro Ishii, and it didn't disappoint. I mean, Joe Doering really was not easy to take down. He was not. But he gave his all to Josh Alexander. And you know what? He looked like $1,000,000 doing it. He may have lost this match, but he looked damn well doing this. He still looked very dominant in this match. He didn't look like, oh, one chop and he went down. Like, no, it took a lot for Josh Alexander to knock Joe Doering down. He did a Northern Light suplex, which was a pretty amazing. Doering was impressive with that crossbody. Josh Alexander had to hit Joe Doering with 3 German suplexes, and that still wasn't enough. Doering at one point started slapping Josh, and that was not enough. Josh kept ducking his Revolution Bomb, and in the end, Josh hit Joe Doering with the C4 spike, which was what caused Josh Alexander to retain his title. An incredible match. Probably Ishii and Joe Doering were going to be his 2 toughest opponents. And it did not disappoint. Like sometimes, like losing in defeat is pretty good, and Joe Doering looked good doing it, honestly. But now I'm very curious to see where he goes from here and what happens after. But with that being said, that concludes this review. There's not one thing I disliked about tonight's show, except for the fact that Steve Macklin wasn't on the card, but he did make a cameo appearance, so I have to give this a perfect 10, a Ty Dillinger, top to bottom, perfect 10. But with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching and for your continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow after Money in the Bank. Bye.